You can't stop me now. Can't stop me now. My feet have come too far for you to tie them to the ground. You can't stop me now. Can't stop me now. Set my sights on where I'm going at and turn it back around. You can't stop me.
Well, good evening and welcome to Psychic Coffee Shop. I'm Aeson Knight, and of course with me tonight, we're going to have two different guests. This is going to be fun, guys. This is another double header, so hold your questions for the second part of the show. First with me tonight is Janis Harper with her book, Janis and the Mountain. Now, for those not familiar, she's a writer, a songwriter, an actor, and a former English professor turned expressive art therapist. Now, that's a trip. And she's got a new book out called Janis and the Mountain. So what's your book about, honey?
Well, the subtitle is A Metaphysical Love Story. And I'm holding it up. I know those who are listening can't see it, but Janis and the Mountain, A Metaphysical Love Story. Okay, gee, what's it about? It's about a guy named Janis who lives initially in Vancouver, where I'm from, Canada. And he goes off to India after his life falls apart. With his friend to the holy mountain of Arunachala, which is a real place. And there, even though he wouldn't call himself a spiritual seeker type guy, he ends up meeting a guru and goes on a silent retreat with him and learns all about non-duality and has several awakening moments, etc. Also, when he's there, and this is a real place, and it's based on my own experiences, even though it is indeed a novel and it has all the attributes of a novel. It's got, a juicy plot line and a love triangle and all that kind of stuff.
Hopefully a few cliffhangers to keep the blood pressure running.
Yeah. While he's there, he meets a Western, so he has a Eastern mystic thing happening with a non-duality. And then he meets a woman who happens to be from Vancouver too. And you could call her a Western psychic. And Anamika has a system of metaphysics. Like, she knows a lot of stuff about all sorts of things, about the nature of reality, you could say. So he is consumed with seeing if these two ways to truth are compatible, if they can be reconciled. Like, you have the whole enlightenment thing. You have getting awakening into enlightenment. And how is that compatible with creating your reality and multiple cells and dimensions and all of that juicy kind of psychic metaphysical stuff? Can the two meet? Are there any intersections? So it's a philosophical, spiritual novel in that sense, is that it compares these two ways or paths to truth or philosophy. Also,
and a very dualical world I view there. I mean, because, the psychic world in itself is being influenced by the Eastern philosophy for a long time now. I know when, I first come up with, still wet cards behind my ears, karma was just becoming a word. Now everybody's either blaming Mercury in retrograde or, that's just their karma. I think that's a new psychic's way of saying bless your heart. But how was writing this book? What was your process? Are you a long form writer where you just sit down and you write 5,000 words a day? Or are you more of a, I'll do this scene today and I'll do that scene tomorrow?
Well, I have written all various genres. My other two books were in the field of creative nonfiction, and they were anthologies published in Canada. This book was published in the States. Not self-published, by the way. It's the old-fashioned way where you shop it around and a publisher picks it up. I'm also a singer-songwriter, and I have an album that's accessible online called Better This Way. So, well, it really depends what I'm writing. Right now, I have a poetry manuscript I'm shopping around called Founding Socrates, which is about Socrates. But Jonas arrived in a really beautiful, exciting way. Um, it was almost a gift. It poured out of me in quite a short amount of time. And the structure, it's got a rather unusual structure, interweaving, the narratives interweave, and it's structured by the 5 elements. And the structure came out too. So I was just being really, Aeson, carried along by these, not only by the characters, but by what they wanted to say and by the overall messages. And yeah, it was one of the most exciting creative times of my life. So I was so drawn into it that every day I would work on it just because I wanted to. I didn't have to. I didn't sit down and go, okay, I'm going to write. I've never been the kind of person who says I'm going to write, so many words. I tend to work very intensely, and I'm very focused when I work. And it's when it's something I love, and I don't work unless it's something I love to work on.
Right.
And, yeah.
So how is this different from your songwriting? Like, does a song just kind of move into your house and be like, okay, you're going to write me, or I'm just going to hang around here and just run through your head for about 4 days?
Actually, it's been quite a while since I've written a song. So I did it for a large part of my life. They kind of arrived as well. I was never the kind of songwriter where the words came first and then the melody came second. It had to come together. If the lyrics came and there was no melody, then I could work on that, and it would never form. And vice versa, if the music came without the words. So they arrived too. Boy, it sounds like I'm inspired all the time.
And you probably are, because if we look at like a lot of successful ones, and I'll name a few like Dolly Parton and Waylon Jennings and some other musical artisans, who also do the writing. Like Dolly says she's got enough not CDs, but cassettes and notepads laying around that another artist could probably produce another full career off of them. Do you have the same just laying around?
Yeah, I do. My album, I have two. I have an audio tape, but I have a full length CD, and that was hard to select the songs for that. So yeah, I've got lots of other, and I perform, or I did perform when here in Canada we were allowed to perform, and now that's coming back, thank goodness.
Yeah,
so
it is coming back. How do you think the industry changed because of the panini?
I love that, the panini. I haven't heard that before. That's great. I'll remember that one. Just a lot of musicians starved. And there's so many books that were launched during the panini, and no one got to do launches. And so now we're all kind of shooting for the spring, and I bet there's going to be also you have to really scramble to get a venue to launch a book at.
Not really. I think that a lot of them have picked up a little bit more of the social side of launching a book and connecting with audiences and doing like podcasts and stuff like that. Now, I think that it will. I'm hoping that in the new normal, that we don't lose a lot of the skills we've picked up in like doing I can sit here in bumfucked West Virginia and watch a concert in Las Vegas. If I want to attend a book signing in, I just recently, another publishing company, Llewellyn, recently just had their spring launch. I sat here, done the whole thing, enjoyed it, got to talk to some really great new authors. I'm going to be courting a few of them to come sit down and have a cup of coffee.
Yeah, fantastic. It's we are more globally connected, and we do have this access to so much that we didn't have before, and on a global level. So there's an irony there, because on the other hand, we all were feeling isolated, self-isolated. So on the one hand, we are self-isolated. On the other hand, we are more connected than we've ever been. So I'm
Mhm.
really kind of intrigued by that irony. Speaking of Llewellyn and those kinds of publishers, I should mention the publisher of Jonas and the Mountain. It's
Yes.
Sacred Stories Publishing is the
Hmm.
publisher of Jonas.
And they're fabulous. I mean, they do some really good publishing work. We've gotten some great authors on from them. But Janis in the Mountain, is this your, are they going to do, are we going to have Jonas in the sea, like him traveling again? Or,
No, I doubt it. Again, this book is very special to me, and I have
Mhm,
been bowled over by the responses I've been receiving. I mean, I knew
mhm,
that it would resonate with a metaphysical, spiritual kind of audience, but this I was so excited to receive all sorts of responses from people who wouldn't normally encounter the kinds of ideas in
right.
here. People saying things like, "Wow, my way of thinking has been changed," or the world feels more open to possibility, and
Mhm,
others just saying that they really enjoyed the story and the
mhm,
characters and just being in India, because the whole book takes place in India. So I'm really
mhm,
happy that this book has so much of a mainstream appeal. That was really surprising to me.
mhm.
And also something I'd like to mention that I didn't get to when I was describing all the aspects of the book, because
Right.
there's lots going on here. Is there's an expressive art therapy um, thing happening in here too. So one character, Anamika, who gives satsangs, like the guru does, and
Mhm,
she gives her teachings, and she discovers along the way that a way to bring her teachings home to her students, so that it really is in their bones, is by giving them an arts exercise.
mhm.
So this, whether it's writing or drawing or moving or sounding, and so she in effect becomes an expressive arts therapist. And the exercises and meditations and activities that she does in the book are also in the appendix at the back for the
So
readers.
there's some
Uh,
homework with this one.
well, if you want to experience her
Right.
activities for yourself, the expressive arts activities, and then I have them extracted and adapted for the reader,
Hmm.
and that's been something that people have been talking about as well, which
Cool.
is exciting. So
Right.
yeah, this whole
Yeah,
art
well, and I've
thing.
seen that with others, and I think that that's something authors don't really think about. Um, an example is there's a book, and it's talking about the history of a quilt, and the artist took great pains. I'm talking Stephen King level in describing this quilt. The pattern and the stitching it went into it because it was like
Mm,
a family history quilt. And I find it so interesting
mm.
because the author was just shocked because she now is having an auction of the quilts
Uh-huh.
that were sent to her for a charity. Have
Huh.
you gotten art projects sent to you?
Pardon me. I'm sorry.
Have you gotten art projects sent to you?
uh, no, but I've had people telling me about sharing their experiences
Hmm.
with these activities. Like, oh, I did this particular activity in the book, and wow, and sometimes giving me the artwork or the writing that
Hmm.
they did. These are people I know and people who I don't know, who
Right.
are just readers who found me on social media or wherever. So there is that going on, which is fun for me too, because of the panini.
Hmm.
I'm not practicing as an expressive arts therapist right now, so it's good to sort of feel that happening. And regarding the panini pandemic, I
Hmm.
do think that the arts, the engagement with the arts, is something that has really taken fire as well uh,
Hmm.
during this time.
Oh
Do you
yeah.
think
Oh,
so?
most definitely. Oh, I think so. I think it's interesting that as soon as it hit, you could not find art supplies. Fabric prices tripled, and it had nothing to do with shipment. Let's just clarify. No, no problem with shipment here because there was fabrics on what sale one day for $1 a yard, and the next day they're selling them for 7. Okay, so that wasn't a
Mm.
shipping issue. The shipment was already there, but it was a demand issue. I mean, even Singer sewing machines was a demand issue. They weren't exactly expecting people to go. I used to sew. Well, I think I'll do that because now I have 6 hours of my day that I'm not spending in a car. How do you think it benefited people that were doing art therapy to have this time to de-stress down, which I normally think is the first purpose of art therapy is to be able to allow that creativity to flow through. How do you think that's
Mm.
changed like some of your long-term clients?
Um, through the pandemic, I'm
Mm-hmm.
I'm hearing your voice break up a little bit, so I'm
Mm.
not getting your entire voice coming through. How they feel. Um,
How do you feel that art therapy in itself will be a lot changed after the panini? And
oh
also,
no.
do you think that your therapy practices have created and kind of calmed things down?
There has been, I think, a lot of expressive arts therapy being conducted via the internet, and
Mm-hmm.
a lot of my colleagues have found very successful ways to do that. So,
Mm-hmm.
like everything else, I think it's a new. It has given us the pandemic has given us new skills in order to reach more people on a wider geographical basis um,
Mm-hmm. Without so
through.
many limits there. Yeah. Um,
Yeah.
when looking at this book, you have the non-dualism and then the metaphysics
Mm,
there. Those are two different paths, even though they're cousins. Because a lot of
mm,
the metaphysical stuff came out of the OTO, which was formed from Indian teachings.
mm,
How was your
mm.
experience of trying to research those? Were you like seeing one call it spinach, the other one call it green vegetables, or?
I love how you bring up their connection, because I often don't have people recognizing that. For me, they came out of my life. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so from a young age, I was chanting in front of a Buddhist shrine when I was 14 for an hour a day. And then in college, I was discovered Eastern religious studies, and then fell in love with everything India. But also when I was 17, I discovered the Seth material,
Mm-hmm.
channeled by Jane Roberts. And
Mm-hmm.
that just rung very true for me. So this book, Jonas and the Mountain, is really my own personal exploration of how where these two paths meet.
Mm-hmm.
I give the job to Jonas to figure out,
Right.
really. Um, yeah, because I spent a lot of time on retreats like Jonas did with
Mm-hmm.
a guru who I met there, and experienced awakenings into one consciousness or
Mm-hmm.
enlightenment, and that's very much a part of my life, that the Eastern mysticism. But then on the
Right.
other hand, very much a part of my life is all of the stuff that goes with metaphysics,
Mm-hmm.
and with opening to multiple dimensions and selves, and one really could call it the psychic realm as well.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, so for me, it was a personal exploration, and I gave the job to Jonas,
Right.
and I'm not going to add any spoilers to see whether
Right.
whether the two did come together, and if so, how. And
Right.
there is a love story, of course. It's called a metaphysical love story. So
How has that
there
genre
are.
been dancing in?
Pardon me.
Because you're kind of hitting a couple genres. I mean, I'm
I know.
sorry, you've got the romance genre, and they are strictly romance, and they can be a
Mm,
very picky group. Then you
yes.
have the metaphysical group that I promise you has already took the book with post-it notes and went through and made sure you hit every term going on. How has that collision of the worlds gone?
Oh, really, Aeson? It's not a tradition. It's not a romance. Um, the romance genre has a particular structure, and all
Uh
sorts of
huh.
characteristics that have to be fulfilled. This isn't one. It's not a traditional romance, that's for sure. Um, yeah, it is a love story, because
Hmm.
it's about love, really, and it's not only about romantic love, which does happen, but also love. Jonas finds himself falling in love with his teacher, who's a
Hmm.
who's a male guru, and he goes, "Well, what's happening here?" there's a love for the capital S self, or God, or so there's different kinds of love. That's why it's kind of metaphysical love, as well as there's metaphysics in the story that create the love story. But yeah, it's not a traditional romance. So if someone loves to read romance novels, who knows? Maybe they will find it really interesting and intriguing and refreshing. But they'll be disappointed.
They probably will. Because that's one of the rarities. Like, if you're looking for a project to jump onto, metaphysical love stories are not that easy to find, that are real. I mean, we get the classic vampire or werewolf, that's cute. Witch falling in love with preacher, or sheriff, that's cute. But metaphysical romances are rare and hard to find.
Yeah, thank you. I guess something I have heard the comment many times that it's one of the most unique books that have been read. That was in an editorial review. The most unique book I read last year, she said. So yeah, there's. I make it sound like there's lots of different stuff going on, and there is for sure. But I want to reiterate that or emphasize that it's all of one piece. It's not a disjointed. It's a novel. It's a novel, even though it's autobiographical, really. And that's a new term these days, autobiographical novel, because it's being recognized, I think, how novels do come from one's own life, and some more than others. And this certainly does. So it's also, it's a bit of philosophy, a bit of metaphysics, a bit of love story, a bit of autobiography, a bit of expressive art.
But that kind of fits our world today.
When
our world is, broke up into anywhere from 15 to 60-second attentions, you can't have a book that's just only one level.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. Unless it's really well written. Being a literary writer and reader, if something is beautifully written, then I love it. No matter what genre it is. But that's an interesting idea.
And we've seen this progress over since like the 90s and 2000s in the literary and life world. Characters are getting more fleshed out. Those little subplots that really used to be just filling in page spaces to get character from point A to point B is now a whole secondary story running in the background. And a lot of books now that I get to review and get to go through, I'm seeing like second and third books in there, and I'm like, oh, okay, well, that actually works really well. She's got reading, so she has a balance of business and books, but she's going to go do this and go do that, and it kind of fits all into that twisting road that I once heard someone say a book can be, is a really twisting path to get to one point.
Interesting. Yeah, and there is certainly a metafictional element in my book, in that there are places where we find out that Janis is writing the book. They're different, the meta. Also, apropos to what you just said, I have two appendices in this book. Again, there is the section on Anamika's exercises and meditations, and then there's also a subject guide to Anamika's talks. So, so this is something that readers. This is not really part of a story, right? Stories don't usually have this kind of this self-referencing going on. But readers have been quite interested in that. After they finish, when they're reading the book, they go, where was that when she was talking about the body and illness? And here I have the page number regarding her talk. So, and that's something that I've seen more recently as well in in what are called novels. There's certainly playing going on with that.
Right.
Just
Oh
like
yeah.
the quilt that you spoke of, the whole,
Mhm.
rather than getting completely lost in the story,
Uh-huh.
one can also look back into it or see how the story is a story. Yeah,
Mhm.
I appreciate it on different levels than just being
Yeah.
totally immersed in it. Yeah,
Right. Instead of
yeah.
getting lost, and I think that's made the world that the author creates to be more richer, to be more denser, and really in that meta connectivity that goes on. So
Mm.
you're shopping a poetry book. You've got some writing going on. What else are you doing?
Promoting the novel.
Promoting the
Which,
novel? Okay.
yeah, promoting the novel. I'm finding because my heart and soul is in this, and I'm just really. It was published October 20th,
Mhm.
2021, and I'm just really just continuing to push it out.
Right.
Keep on pushing it out there, and that does take a lot of time, and also it's a creative endeavor because there's all sorts of ways to do it that one can just discover and make up, and yeah.
So are
And
you
I
looking
just
at it going to Audible or listening?
my publisher and I are talking about that. Being
Good.
an actor, I also have a podcast that's on YouTube and Apple and on the publisher's site,
Hmm.
wherein I read 10-minute excerpts from Jonas and the Mountain, and there's 8
Very cool.
separate episodes, so anyone can just go and hear and get a little taste of that. And since I've done that, people have been inquiring about whether
Mhm.
I would do an Audible, and yeah, I certainly would love to.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would just
So
be.
where can they listen to that at?
They can hear that. The podcast is called Jonas and the Mountain Journeys, and it can be found on YouTube, on Apple. But the best place that one might go, I think, to find it is sacredstories.com,
Okay.
which is my
Cool.
publisher's site. So
Right.
sacredstories.com. But also, if you just put Jonas and the Mountain Journeys, Janis Harper in a Google search, you'd probably find some version of it because it's all over the
Hmm.
place. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Awesome.
yeah.
Okay.
As yeah, as is my
Um,
music. I'm just going to throw
right.
that in there.
And your
Yeah,
music, JonisHarper.ca is
yeah,
working and under construction, and you guys can go check her out and get to know more about her songwriting and that type of thing.
yeah. Or just online. Better this way. Just Google Janis
Hmm.
Harper. I'm on Spotify. Wherever.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Well, darling, thank you for coming and having
Aw.
coffee with us. And
Oh,
come back
thank
and
you
see
so
us
much.
when your poetry comes out, okay? I look forward to that.
Oh, wonderful. Thanks so much. It was a great honor and pleasure to sip coffee with you in the great panini.
Yes. You have a lovely evening, darling.
It too. Bye bye.
Bye bye. All right, guys. So up now is BlueNightt. Now, I've been wanting to get him to the table for a good bit. Hello, darlings. How are
Hello.
you?
I'm well. How are you?
Evil, as always. I got to maintain that Baltimore status.
Yes.
Yeah. So, how are you? How is drunken divination going?
Oh goodness. It's going. It's going. It's rolling. It won't
How did it
stop.
start out?
Well, funny enough, so we were talking before the live started that, I'm originally from Ohio, Southern Ohio.
Hmm.
And I moved in 2017, I moved to Florida and decided that I would move back to Ohio to be closer to family and old friends.
Hmm.
And I thought, well, the winters aren't that bad. So I moved back to Ohio, and lo and behold, the panini started. And I caught the panini there for a time. That was not fun. And where I was living in Ohio, so I was staying in my grandmother's old place. And funny enough, my ancestors, as I call them, had owned the land generations beforehand. And I thought, they knew something because it was right up against a foothill, and you can't get cable or internet there to this day. So I had to take kind of an unwillful step away from my YouTube channel. And I thought, when I come back, I'm going to do something fun. I'm going to do something really cool, and it's going to be live. And I don't know what it is, but I'm going to do it. And during the Panini, I decided that I would put some time towards picking up tarot. And I decided I would work that in to a project. And so Drunken Divinations was born. I asked my good friend Mark of many years, I said, hey, what do you think about doing a live stream with me where we do free readings and we just, get sloshed and have a good time with the people in the chat? And he said, sounds good to me. I'm good. So thus it was born.
Very cool. And, it's a different flavored show. I'm going to be on next month, guys. Be warned, we are researching alcohols for Aeson to have so he can have some fun. I don't know if you've heard, but Aeson has developed this weird thing with alcohol as it's become water to him after so many years of not drinking. It's like, where was this in my 20s when I was getting handed shots?
Right.
So let's talk about the format you guys have built.
So the format. So basically, we go live and we have a nice little. Our first thing is we try and remember to do a nice little debrief at the beginning of the show where we explain, hey, we are not professional readers by any means. At least I am not. I don't take that responsibility.
Yeah.
And we do have a tipping service through Cash App, which hopefully one day will change, but right now we use Cash App. It's the most readily available to everybody. And so the readings are free. All somebody has to do during a live is type in their question or that they want a general reading in all caps. So that way my assistant, aka partner, can keep track of our questions for us and our readings. And the tip system is for shots. So if the chat thinks we're being a little too boring or not as entertaining as we normally are, they can tip us so we can do a shot per tip and have a little more fun.
Have a little more fun. I'm glad you cleared that up because, Cash App is, of course, owned by Square, who has been very discriminational towards the occultic community.
Yeah.
Like, they clearly stated, like, I've made a meme that goes up every time someone brings up, well, I do Cash App for readings. I'm like, no, you don't.
No, you do not. Yeah, and no, the Cash App. So YouTube is very specific at who can accept tips or donations. So when I first decided to do the segment on my YouTube channel, I thought I would be able to use YouTube. And I was thinking, okay, we'll have one pot, because there's several things that I really don't like about Cash App, aside from the fact that they're turd heads, right?
Okay.
It's also the fact that I feel like people kind of feel pressured. Usually we have guests, like you're going to be a guest. So, I don't like the fact that people sometimes feel pressured to tip more than once if they want to get one specific host more tipsy, if that makes sense. I like that they can discriminate towards the host that they want to get the tip, because sometimes you get hosts, Mark, who like to say they're not as tipsy as they really are. So you like to put the money where their mouth, So but
put the beer bottle where the candle is.
Exactly. So I like that aspect of it, but I don't like, on the other hand, viewers might feel that they have to tip everybody rather than just one person. So that's not as fun. But we try and make it work the best we can. We've just gotten used to, if one person gets a tip, we remember to check and make sure that that everybody else is safe.
Yeah. Right. But no, you don't do. I like it that you do shots for tips. That's a real drawback to the old club days. when drag queens would get shots for tips. I'm enjoying that aspect. Now,
Yes.
you also have merch.
Oh yes, all the merch.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's so there's some projects that we have in the woodworks. Projects, I'm like, this is the busiest I've been with any of my internet presence. So
Uh-huh.
I have so many pots that I just keep throwing my time into. But yeah, the merch. The merch is there, and it's due to grow,
Uh-huh.
but it's gonna take some time. But there's some juicy things that Mark and I are working on to bring forth out of our
Mhm.
time with Drunken Divination. So hopefully that becomes a nice thing.
Right.
A nice
Who
little
do you do merch with? Like, do you do
me.
a company, or you're doing
Oh,
the hand printing and all that? Or
no. So I don't print. I
okay.
did the print to start with, and
Uh-huh.
that's not fun. That's not a
No.
fun thing. So I started out all of our merch is print on demand. I
Mm-hmm.
started out early on before Drunken Divinations. I started out with printful.com,
Mm-hmm.
and they're really great, but they're a little pricey.
Mm-hmm.
And they do have um, what's the word I'm looking for? When you sew images
Mm-hmm.
in, you know what?
Embroidery.
Embroidery. Thank you. I knew it started with an
Yeah.
E. Words. English is hard. They do have embroidery options, so I still
Mm-hmm.
use them for some products.
Mm-hmm.
But now I use Printify, and
Mm.
they're a pretty decently priced print on demand service.
Mm-hmm.
There's another service that I use that I just can't remember right now, unfortunately, that I use for my taller, larger
Mm-hmm.
sizes, because
Mm-hmm.
I try and make things available to everybody of every
Mm-hmm.
size.
Right.
So yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I use.
So, I was watching your tag video earlier, and you were talking about how your practice has changed. How has
Hmm.
your practice really changed since the move up to Southern Ohio, back to Florida? I was like, dude, just get
So,
two houses.
right, I wish. So as far as for me, my surroundings take a huge part in my practice, and that's
Hmm.
partially because of um, the spirits that surround me. I guess like
Hmm.
a lot of my practice, whether I like it or not, has to do with a lot of spiritual, like working with spirit.
Hmm.
And at first, the first time I moved to Florida, it was very much a culture shock.
Okay.
Um, it's kind of like if you move from a small town to a really big city, and in the small town that you grew up in, everybody waved and said hi every morning as you walked by, and in the big city, nobody gets a darn toot hooting who you are or what you're doing. They just don't want to deal with you.
Exactly.
Kind of like that. Kind of like
Uh-huh.
that. Definitely some. I would even go as far as to say some spiritual attack that I was not used to
Hmm.
where I was living in Florida. Um, and then after I kind of went back home, got a little closer back to my roots, and came back, I came a little bit more prepared, I think.
Hmm.
My protective practice has definitely changed, but also I've become less reliant on um, what I would call deity work.
Hmm.
So my practice has become much more, I would say, secular
Hmm.
in a sense,
Okay.
um, and a lot more focused on self and
Hmm.
self empowerment and the empowerment of those around me, I guess.
Hmm.
So,
When did you start practicing?
oh, girl, listen. I
Uh-huh.
I like to tell people I started practicing way too young. I was a child that was getting into things that a child should not be getting into.
Well, honey, I was like telling people who was calling on the phone at like 8 and 83, and I shouldn't have been doing that. But you know, I should have waited for at least AT&T to give me a copyright. But Because I find that I can look at like someone when someone started practicing and go, okay, now I see where you're at in your development, because there
Mm,
was buzz things that were really big and then they kind of died out. And our community in itself is morphing, because when I came up, it was coven and bust. You were either
hmm.
coven or you were not.
Right. And
And nowadays it's very different.
right. So if I were to look back on my time now growing up and some of the things that I consider practice that other people, so things that I consider practice as far as everyday practice, I've been
Hmm.
doing most of my life, whether that be just
Hmm.
lighting a candle and saying a prayer or what have you.
Hmm.
But as far as figuring out that witchcraft is a thing
Hmm.
and not just part of my imagination and that I wasn't crazy since I was 12, 13-ish.
Hmm.
So 2004-ish,
Hmm.
I
Okay.
think, was when an actual practice, what the
Started.
community would consider a practice, started forming.
Well, it depends on the community.
Right.
Um, and that is so much like, can we stop some of this stuff?
Yeah. Yeah. Labels,
Like,
you know.
can we just stop this? Because we have, I call them neophytes. People call them fluffy bunnies. It's the ones that are just figuring out, thinking, yeah, witchcraft is a thing, and yeah, I will hex your ass. Um,
Yeah.
to the other ones that are like me or the old timers going, dear God, if someone doesn't start teaching these children not to hex the moon, we're going to have another panini, and these fays are going to come on and start another damn war we ain't seen since the
Everybody
Celts moved
mentions
in.
hexing the moon. Nobody says anything about hexing the fae,
Yeah,
because that was a thing.
it was a thing, and all the fae. What I found interesting was I don't care what age or what stage Fey workers were. They all were like, "Are you fucking nuts? Do you know what will happen?"
Yeah. Yeah. It's like whether I've noticed you're on either side of the fence. There's usually no in between. You either
Uh-huh.
work with the Fae or you avoid the Fae. And it's like both groups of people were like, no,
Yeah,
no.
like that's. I think that's the first time in 10 years, no, in 20 years, I had seen that community agree on anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I'm just like sitting back here, child of Morgon, going, "Oh yeah, this will be cute." Someone hand them another beer.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, that was a thing.
Yeah. So what speaking of that, what fashions or what things do you see coming around?
Coming around like as aesthetics.
Yeah, aesthetics, practice behaviors, buzzwords.
Oh goodness. One of my favorite things to bring up are I don't know if there's so much a thing anymore, but the what did they call them? The cord cutting spells.
Uh-huh.
Oh, spell bottles.
Uh-huh.
I
Can we
can't.
not?
I can't do spell bottles. I can't.
Oh, I can do
They're
spell bottles
messy.
all damn day, honey. At the same time, it's like, really?
They're
Why?
just messy. They're messy. I don't
Yes.
like. Oh, I don't like the cleanup.
Yeah. It's good funnels, very good funnels, and nice wax will handle a lot of things. But at the same time, I see this example: the or late '90s, early 2000 golf witches. If
Hmm.
you go back and look, you'll have the same thing in the late '70s, and it's like they would have just took their beads and hung them up. They would have saved so much money.
Yeah.
The cord cutting spells and the voodoo spells. It's like, oh please,
Hmm.
you
Hmm.
cannot go to anybody that's real voodoo and go, here's $35. Can you make him come back for me? No, honey, that's not how that really works.
I'll take $35 though.
I'll take $35, but here's your recipe, and by the way, here's the supplies you need to go down there and buy, and here's the bribe amount you'll need for the Catholic priest, and yada yada yada.
The bribe. I like that. So true. So true.
Yeah. So what are some trades you don't like coming around?
Well, I guess the spell bottles is definitely one. I'm not a spell bottle person. Listen,
Right.
I don't know how some witches. Well, I get it. I get it.
Uh-huh.
But that's just so much space. So much space. Unless you bury it somewhere, and then I'm like, you're burying that.
Mm-hmm.
Or throwing, God's forbid, throwing it in the ocean. So I think that would be a big one. I also don't like, and this is something that I try and address actively. I don't like the I'm holier than thou, for lack of a better term, that a lot of practitioners are getting lately. I don't like that.
Right.
I think with TikTok, I'm just going to go ahead and say it. I'm
Go
on
for it.
TikTok. Don't
So
get
am
me
I.
wrong. I'm on TikTok, but I am not like Witch Talk is not my place. It is not a happy place. It's not a good place to be. And you can't get a lot of information in 3 minutes.
No.
You know? You just
You
can't.
I can get a 3-card reading done in 3 minutes. I cannot teach you how to cleanse your house in 3 minutes. The floor polish alone takes longer than 3 minutes, guys.
It's true.
It's true.
Mean, you know,
it's something that I find with students a lot, and they're always shocked about the first assignment. We have to do what? Yes, housekeeping. For those that want to take my Wicca 101, your first lesson is housekeeping. Get out your broom, your mop, and your most magical tool, your dustpan.
Yes. Can't forget about that dustpan. No.
Or dish rags. Dish rags are very magical.
Yes, they are, especially in Appalachian witchcraft.
Yep.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Everything comes out in the wash. Everything comes out in the dishwater.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, goodness. But yeah, so I would say those are the biggest being the later. And, you know, that's one reason why we decided to do drunken divinations, because you, in my opinion, you, especially nowadays, you can go online and you can find information at the drop of a hat. With the right keywords, you got it. But we need more fun, you know? More fun.
I agree. I think that and I'm going to don't think I'm putting down this religious doctrine. I really think I want to go after 2010. Wicca and the witchcraft community got a large dose of Baptist blood. And we all went to this very boring, it is the Samhain today. We honor the birth of, and I'm like, if I fall asleep during ritual, this is dangerous.
This is a problem.
Yes, that's a problem.
Yeah. Definitely. And I think that's why a lot of people, you know, I consider Wicca being my like stepping stones of knowledge. Like it's very much still a part of my practice, but I think that's why a lot of people are kind of moving away from it, getting a little more secular, you know, a little less like you have to do things this way, because it's I mean, I highly doubt my ancestors worked that way. You know,
I'll guarantee you mine didn't.
Right.
Okay. And, you know, being able, and I think that's one of the advantages I have as being an older member in the community. I remember a drawing doll in the goddess community ritual where we lost a dining room table. There was a fire on the stove. You know, there may have been a few cassettes that died. You know, the Morgan was in a very interesting mood that night.
As she is, usually.
Usually. But I went to one probably about 3 years ago. And supposedly, and I'm going to go supposedly because I'm not going to say that person didn't. But I was like, what the hell is this shit? I'm the Morgon. I bring it. I was like, bullshit, you are. Like, I really wanted to say, bullshit, you are. There is no mead flowing here. There's no
There's no
discussion of
mead
battle
flowing
or
here.
sovereignty.
Mm.
The Morgon isn't showing up at this place.
Mm.
And I think that's something that's been lost, is our deities' personalities.
Mm-hmm.
And our
Definitely.
ancestors' personalities.
Definitely. And even just the fact that, again, like you said, personalities, it's not always about the big fancy to-dos,
Mm-hmm.
especially with, I call her Mama, but Morgan,
Mm-hmm.
especially with her, from my
Yeah.
experience anyway. And everybody works with deity a different way, but
Right.
you
Because
know,
it's a different level. For me, it's a different level of friendship. And I think that's something that has been lost. Like, I'm sorry, I've never met a child of the Morgon that can grovel worse shit. Because she doesn't have it. It's like, oh, hell no. What the hell? Oh, you want a job? That's cute. How many resumes you put in today? 20? That's cute. Come back
that's
when you
not
get
enough.
30. Yeah.
Yes.
Get your ass back out there. It's only 4 p.m.
Yes. Which is
Yeah.
partially why, like, I keep myself, that's partially why I'm so busy right now, because it's like, she's like, what did you do today? Did you contribute towards this? You said you were going to do this. Did you do this?
Uh-huh.
I'll get right on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And while she's doing that, for me, she'll be like, when's the last time you cleaned this damn house? There's enough negativity floating around here. It's like, damn, that floor needs polish. What the hell, boy?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I know all too well.
Uh-huh.
And then you think you get it all done and you're like, okay, I'm hitting a normal status. And then she's like, here's a little bit more. You can do it.
Uh-huh.
Have a great time.
Or, I was going to, or she'll go, I think it's really time that you've got the nighttime thing down really well. But, spring's coming, the light's returning. And I swear I heard the light is returning like 15 times that day. Next morning, 9 o'clock in the morning, I should be conking out. It was like someone had fed me triple espresso beans. And I'm like, oh, what the hell is this? And she's like, oh, I guess you would probably need some more daytime. Your vitamin T's low.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah. So now I'm reading daytime now. I've made, and it never fails me. I will say, I will never, and she'll go, really?
Here you go.
Asked that they shall be delivered.
You just don't say that anymore. You got to get on this level. You just don't say it anymore. Avoid it at all costs.
Yeah. It's like, before I started a year in a day program, I'm like, oh, I don't think I could do a year in a day. I've now done 3. We've developed a year in a day 102, and I'm getting ready to start what I'm calling the collective, which is kind of like a coven, but not a coven. It is, I'm teaching classes, you show up. You're going to learn your own you're going to go through your own decisions, and then you're going to move forward with that.
And
you'll come back when you're ready for something new. But so it's like, don't tell her you're not going to do something, because I promise you, if you're a child of the Morgon, by golly, you'll be doing it.
You'll do it. Yes, you will.
It's kind of like you saying, oh, I'm not a professional reader. I heard that.
Oh, don't give her ideas.
I don't have to, honey. She already has it planned out.
Jeez.
Oh.
I was doing the day job today, and I was like, I'm sitting here. I had IT issues. And I was like, I could be doing something. And she's like, get your cards. Okay. So I was just flipping cards, just looking at them, just,
And how many people lined up for a reading?
What?
I said, how many people lined up for a reading?
Oh no. Well, I work from home, so it was just me.
Oh,
Yeah, it was just me. It was just for
lucky
my
you.
it was just for my knowledge and my just studying it and yeah,
Mhm.
but
I need you to help me with explaining a concept to Mama. Vacation.
yeah, it doesn't exist. That doesn't exist.
I've told this story a few times on there. I'll tell it to you. So I have a very hard time getting a vacation. So I booked this lovely retreat. I'm going to go on a retreat. We're going to Hocking Hills, Ohio. Rented a
Love
beautiful
Hocking Hills.
cabin, hot tub, pool, a full week, no cell phone, no internet,
Mm-hmm.
out of office message set, away messages set. Great. I'm not going to, yes, there's a deck in the car because I don't leave anywhere without a tarot deck. Got that. But there's no reason for me to have clients.
I'll
No
tell you though,
appointments
if you
booked.
wanted to get away from her, that's one of the worst places to go.
Well, thanks for letting me know because I show up. And of course, we've ordered firewood, so the firewood gets delivered. Oh, you're that reader. Can I get a reading? Do you have cash? Because I didn't bring my credit card machine. Yes, I have cash.
Of course.
People come. I hear you give readings. I need a reading.
Mm-hmm.
The whole weekend.
There you go.
Next time I'm going to a gay campground, forget this.
And I'm gonna, even if I bring the deck, you're not gonna say you got the deck. You're gonna be like, oh darn, I left it at home.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Yeah. So while I was in Ohio, I'm a very big beach goer. I love the beach, love the ocean, love the Gulf. So Hocking Hills to me holds that very sacred, like feminine vibes. So that was my go-to while I was still in Ohio. That was my connection spot. I was only about 30-40 minutes away. So
awesome.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Love it.
2.5 hours away. I'm down in the bottom of West Virginia. Hello, Miss Dottie. How are you, girl?
Hey, Dottie.
Yeah.
We love us, Dottie. We stand Dottie.
Dottie's doing good. She's been putting out some good content. I hear she's working on some new projects.
I loved her trip to New York City. I loved that. I loved that.
Yeah. I like her content. I really do. I've watched her for a while. I work with her now and that's a pure honor. I can't wait for her New Orleans video.
Oh yes. Hint.
Yeah. Good evening, Ellen Dador. Nightingale. There we go. Good evening, Nightingale. We'll go with that one. Oh,
Are those on YouTube? Is that where you're seeing people's?
Yes.
See, I thought people would be on Facebook. So
they're ever on YouTube most of the time. That's the one we've put out link-wise.
Gotcha.
And Brenda says, can't wait to see when she gets it out. Me either. I should have gave her a shopping list, but she's traveling during a panini. And I'm like, all right, I ain't giving you a shopping list this time. So what has been your fun playing in social media?
My fun playing in social media. I consider myself a visual artist. So the visuals are really fun for me. My videos don't show as much of that. But as far as the graphics for the videos and the merch, it's really fun. So I drew, our merch has Mark's face and my face, and we've got two versions. We've got a Ouija type of makeup, and we have a version with women's hands holding drinks, cocktails, and wine, and a woman's hand holding up tarot cards and wearing the tarot cards. and I drew all of that and our faces and all that. So that was really fun. I made a really big mistake. I tried to make slancha a thing. And Mark could not for the life of him say it correctly while under the influence. So he would say cilantro. So now I'm being told I have to make a cilantro t-shirt. So when we take shots, we say cilantro. It's gone so far that we now have a signature drink with cilantro in it.
So it tastes like dishwashing soap?
It actually tastes pretty good. I was scared. I was scared at first, but it actually tastes like a sweet tart to me. So the cilantro is a garnish in it, but it's a gin base with ginger beer and almond extract. It's pretty tasty.
Interesting.
Yes, I was very surprised. But the recipe for that is on the Drunken Divinations Instagram and Facebook and stuff. So if you're interested in trying it,
yes, we will look into it.
It's pretty good.
How does alcohol affect your practices?
So alcohol is a major offering for me. So it's been a part of my practice for quite some time. A lot of people may think that because I do Drunken Divinations, that I would regularly partake. And I actually do not partake normally. Actually, if I try and read cards without a lot of stuff going on while I'm drunk, I will almost certainly get sick. So there's that. And meditating while under the influence, absolutely not. And I don't know how anybody could do that because I am a water sign, and so being grounded is difficult. I have tools to stay grounded. So yes, while under the influence, there's just no way. There's just no way. There's no way.
No.
But
see, and that's like I don't know. It's going to be fun on the show. And I've drunk and I've done it two ways. One is not drinking at all, drinking Pepsi that night, but reading at a drunken party. I'll get sloshed. Like the first year I done it, I was like, crap. Call me a cab. Second year I had a driver. And then I don't know what's going to happen, guys. I'll be sure to Patreons, and everyone knows when I'm going to be on. Come and check it out because I don't know what's going to happen. The last time I drank, I didn't get drunk. I was very disappointed. But we'll see what happens.
I'm sure with our viewers, you'll probably get at least a little buzzed. I'm sure you'll feel something before the end.
Yeah.
We normally do.
Yeah. Because the last time I killed a bottle of vodka, a bottle of peach wine, 3 or 4 well-made drinks of gin. And at 7:00 in the morning, I was like, I think I could log into work because this is not doing nothing for me.
See, my problem is that I feel like I just process it too fast. So I'll drink. And I'm going to be honest, I'm not drinking coffee. This was water. Right. Because if I have any type of sugar or anything, I'm up. I'm a night owl, so I'm up. And Drunken Divinations, that's why we're so limited on our nights as well. One, because Mark works on weekends, but also because it has to be on weekends for me, because if I drink that night, I don't go to bed.
Right.
At all. So
yeah, it's like, okay, so make an extra long to-do list that night.
Yeah. Those things that keep me busy.
A great night to update the website. So what's the store?
The store. So that's that was started by me some time ago. So Drunken Divinations merch is there, but
Uh-huh.
also my brand is there,
Uh-huh.
which is Cunning Owl Creations.
Mhm.
And there are some dropship items that are just like tarot cards, books, literature that you can find if anybody would be interested in it. But I also make my own brand of
Mhm.
candles
Mhm.
and apparel. My biggest seller is so far are the books of shadows and grimoires that I make by
Okay.
hand. So those are extra fun.
So tell us about making them by hand. Are they blank books? Are
Mhm.
they stitched? Do you
They're
macrame? What do you do?
They are not stitched. Actually, I have one if you'd like me. I can grab it real
Sure.
quick. Okay.
Yeah.
Give me just a second.
Let me pop him down. All right, he's grabbing that so we can look at some of these products, guys. I'm looking forward to being on the show. If you guys have questions, of course, we do take questions. You must include your birthday to keep the lawyers happy, and I prefer specific questions. General readings take me a while. All right.
Oh, oh, oh. Okay. So this is going to be my personal book,
Uh
but
huh.
I do flip throughs of it, so this one I don't mind
Right.
sharing. But this is basically what I make.
Oh,
So
cool.
yeah, and they're not stitched. They're actually post bound.
Okay.
So you can, if you can see the
Change it out
screws.
and add to it.
Yep. And
Cool.
I aged the pages and everything, and it looks like
Hmm.
a traditionally stitched book.
Very cool.
Thank you. Um, but they're completely custom. So I do any colors, any designs. I've done um, custom symbol designs. I've
Hmm.
meshed the triquetra with a wolf face before, and
Ooh,
done
that
all.
must have been fun.
That one was really fun, and it was like a blood red um,
Uh huh.
pleather. I call it It's
Ooh.
fake. It's all
Yeah,
fake leather,
it's plastic.
and I do that for I do that for two reasons. One, because why kill a cow unless you have to, or it's to
Hmm.
sustain you. But also because the stuff it's just as durable, it's just as nice, and it's
Hmm.
cheaper, so you don't
Yeah.
have to pay $600 for a book of this size.
Can we talk about this a minute and dig into this? And
Yeah.
this is, since you're a metaphysical owner and user, what is up with some of this pricing?
So listen, there was some tea a while back in the YouTube circles that I uh, frequent, and there
Hmm.
was a member of our community who had started a shop of their own, and they
Hmm.
had put it in some really. They were an editor, I believe, and they put it in some really well-known magazines that weren't like metaphysical magazines. They were like fashion magazines.
Hmm.
And they were selling a chunk of amethyst about yay big, which my hands are not very big. They may look it, but they're tiny, right?
Yeah.
But it was about
Give up
yay
your
big,
ring size, honey.
and it was something that I've purchased for like $4, and they
Hmm.
were selling it for like hundreds of dollars.
Hmm.
Amethyst, mind you, which is not rare.
Right.
It's not rare. Um, and here's the thing. I'm all for charging for services.
Hmm.
I have nothing against, obviously, I have nothing against professional
Right.
readers, professional witches, even. Like
Right.
that's what we did ages and eons ago. Um,
Exactly.
but do it at a reasonable price,
Right.
because if somebody's gonna come to me and they're gonna say, I was gonna have so and so who's a really famous witch or psychic do this, but they wanted X amount of money and it was something completely unreasonable. I'd just as easily give them Azure Green's website address and tell them, get a book,
Yeah.
do some reading, you'll save a lot of money.
Well, right. And, this is okay. I'm at the same endpoint as you are. Because, yes, you pay for services.
Mhm.
I charge for services depending on where you go. I charge either a lot or a good bit. But, when we break it down, I really don't make that much. You do the same. But some of these stone prices, and I'm like, it's not even amethyst, it's dyed soapstone and dialed crystal stone. And I'm like,
Yeah.
$20? This isn't even a half a cube. I mean, where's the rest of it? I'm
Right.
not buying the bag.
This is a nice sample. Where's the
Yeah.
where's the product?
Yeah. I
Yeah.
don't need the salesman's sampler. I need the real, the big one. Especially if
Yes.
I go to Five Below and I can get the big amethyst
Mhm.
for $5. Come
Right.
on now.
Exactly.
Or selenite. Drives me
Selenite.
insane. Stick a light fixture in it and it's suddenly a $40 item.
It's true. It's true, but don't get it wet.
No, and don't have a humidifier if you have a cold, because it
Mhm.
will dissolve people.
Yes. 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 Yeah.
Yeah.
I completely understand. I'm on the same page.
Uh-huh.
So I live close to St. Pete, and in St. Pete downtown, there are several different new age shops,
Mm-hmm.
and crystals being a hot commodity, and it is crazy. I will drive to Tampa, which is a 30-minute drive compared to a 15-minute drive downtown, to buy crystals, because I would rather pay the gas prices and pay a modest price for a modest business than pay the some of the shops pricing here in St. Pete, which I
Right.
get it. I realize that, yes, these shops here, they have to pay rent. They do have to, and rent is going to be more expensive because of the particular areas that they're in. But
Right.
also, again, quadrupling the price, no, we don't need to do that. We don't need to do that.
Exactly. And standard retail formula is, 50% of cost, mark up 50% and you're done.
Right.
Not, oh, I times it by 3. And I've had, stores tell me these times it by 3, and I'm like,
Yeah.
what? But then we have the,
I'm not texting, I'm reading the chat, sorry.
I know you are.
Just a heads up.
Yeah. But then we have what I call I'll call it the Becky effect. Since Becky discovered sage, it's everywhere. Since Becky has discovered crystals, they're everywhere and they're more expensive. What's some tips for the Walmart witches?
So first of all, if you're in a decent area to grow it yourself. It's free. You're only paying $2 or $1 for the seed. And
put it in a pot.
There you go. Put it in
Put
a
it
pot.
in a pot, because I promise you, sage will take over your yard. Catnip will take over your yard.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I haven't been lucky enough for sage to take over my yard, but catnip and mint definitely. Also, look into, if you grow it yourself, great. But Walmart witches, Target witches, go and get the powdered sage in the grocery store. It's the same thing. It's the same thing.
It is. And it burns better. I'm sorry,
it really does. It really does.
It's already ground up, so I don't have to get out the coffee grinder. I don't have to get out the mortar and pestle if I'm wanting to be a little extra. Save yourself some work here.
Yeah.
There's a reason Walmart
There's
witches
nothing wrong with that. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Call me a chaos witch. No, I'm just kidding. I'm really not. But but I mean, and you can even go as far, everybody's like, sage. Why sage? There's so many other things you could use. Lavender, rosemary. I love those. Those as a combo, amazing.
Do wonders.
Yes.
Do wonders. But that's the easy Becky herb to grab. because and what I also don't get, and I didn't see this in my early practices or growing up practices, was these, oh, I've got to order this herb from Taiwan to do the spell with, and I'm like,
So,
huh?
okay, I've had witch talk. I'm telling you, it will take you to places you've never been.
Mm-hmm.
I had a discussion with a witch in regards to on witch talk in regards to lavender. As an example, we'll just say lavender. And there's videos that go around, which is a huge reason why I don't like witch talk, that say, do you want to tick off witch talk? Do it, watch me do it really quick, and then they'll say something what they think is controversial, and anyway. So this was one of those videos, and one of the things that the witch said was, you can't use lavender for money. And my thing is, again, to me, a lot of my practice is spirit based. So my thing is, what's your relationship to lavender? What's your relationship to the specific spirit of lavender? Because I will use lavender in a money spell. Watch me.
And it'll just dance right in nice and calmly and not run over you. Rachel, honey, the U.S. requires us to have your birth date, please.
So, what?
Sorry. Google, stop.
Don't you just love those things? So,
yeah.
I had a discussion with this witch about how, I would say that it would depend on your relationship with lavender. I don't think that it's necessarily right to say you cannot do X, because there are witches, myself included, that would do X, and it may work for them, and I don't think that it's right to build animosity towards other practitioners, if that makes sense. So, yes, I believe there are substitutions. You don't need to go out and buy this specific herb from Taiwan or China or wherever. Do some research, look into the genetics of the herb, and you will almost certainly find a cousin.
Yeah. And you will almost certainly find what you need. It's the formulation and the timing that's the more important part, or at least in my practice. And in my practice, I burn green candles all the time for money. However, if I want some real money, if it's one of those, oh, mama, my bank account looks dry. What the hell's going on here? You got your wine. You got your fresh steak this month. Where's my payday?
Right.
I'll burn an orange candle in a heartbeat.
And that's something else too. Like, you may be using a green candle for money, but something that people don't realize is that green, I mean, what does green represent to you? Is it the color of money? Because more than likely, the universe, deity, they don't, that concept doesn't, it only goes so far. But if you're using green as to represent new growth, like new growth of a forest or whatever, that's going to go a lot further than money,
Right.
And also, not all money is green.
Exactly. Not all money is green. That's more of a U.S. based thing. I mean, in Japan, where a lot of the financial money stuff started at, they use red. Like, if you look at Hell Cash, it is blood red.
That's that good
luck. All right,
luck
so I'm going to do
color.
a card pull for Rachel. I don't normally just do a blank card pull, but I'll go ahead and give it and pull it. Rachel's birthday is 5/21/1981. Let's see what the cards have to say. All right, Rachel, right now we have the Sun card here, so that is you needing to focus more on yourself because you're getting ready to start into a new sector in life. With that new sector, you need to be a little bit more cautious about what you're doing and pay attention to it. And with the Strength card popping up here, you got to work that mental side of you, not that physical
I like that
side,
deep
because
breath.
you will overcome over.
What deck are you reading?
This is the Gilded Tarot deck.
Oh.
Yeah, and then I've been demoing this one, and I really love it. It's called the Native Spirit deck by Debris, and I love this deck. If you guys are seeing my daily polls, I'm using this deck. There's a code somewhere on my site to get 15% off this deck. Debris is a really cool company out of North Carolina, so and hopefully I'll be playing with some more with it. But I normally grab my Gilded, and that I'm a tarot purist. I really get stuck into, Patricia really took time to figure out the symbolism she wanted. She meditated and painted each card by hand, and it should really stick right into that. What's your thoughts?
It as a new reader, it definitely makes it easier. It definitely makes it easier. Right now, I have 2 1/4 decks. So I have my 2 go-tos are the Rider-Waite, but it's the Radiant that I got, and I'm actually defacing this deck. Don't judge me, but I'm
defacing.
So I'm writing key terms.
Okay.
That
I don't see that as bad.
That stick out to me. So So yeah. Because to me, one thing that I don't like about the little books, and they're really helpful, but one thing that I don't like about the little books that come with the decks is sometimes it gets a little bit too much into describing the card and less about describing the symbolism in the description. So what I'm doing is I started going through, if I decide to use this deck, I'll just show you. So like,
show
I'm writing.
Oh, that's not defacing, honey. Please.
Well, I mean, I've already put this deck through hell, so I'm like, eh.
As you should. Okay, a tarot reader's deck. It is not a true tarot reader's deck unless it's not had coffee and ashes and at least some form of alcohol spilled on it.
Yes.
Now, my thoughts on those little books.
This one has had blood. This one has my blood in it. So
you should. Okay, so you tried to take on some rune pattern behavior there. Honey, you got your Google search terms put together wrong.
Last drunken divinations, I was shuffling, and some way that I was shuffling, I looked down and I was like, "Oh, I got a paper cut," and it was a bad paper cut. I was like, "Ooh, girl." Ooh, I was like, "Okay, I guess it was hungry."
It was. It's like you're gonna add energy to me. I'm gonna be taking some.
It was like
Now I commonly say those books are good for 2 things: drink coasters and keeping the table from being unsteady.
That's actually a really good idea. I think after I write my key terms, I might do that with this one because I have I have a wobbly table. So
that's the best and the worser one model of those. And I originally came up with those little white ones. And that every deck either comes with, or now you have a code that you can download it from, and it's like, oh please. I don't need those. It's great for keeping doors open while you get a cigarette break.
That's great. Yeah. But my other go-to deck, which is not as sassy as this one, is MJ Cullinane.
Okay.
It's her Crow Tarot.
Ooh, I like that one.
I love that one. My quarter of a deck is one that I got from Amazon, and it's a Steven Universe, and it's just the major arcana. So I can't, but it's gorgeous. I bought it just to have it.
Well, if you choose to use it, that is great for those. Where is my life going? Where am I at in my journey? Questions.
Those
That's what the majors
questions.
usually used for.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I guess BlueNightt's deck needed a blood offering.
Yeah. Well, that's very common in rune work, is to blood your runes.
I wouldn't know. I don't do runes.
I know them, and I technically can proficiently read them. But most people don't want me reading their runes. I'll be really blunt. No, you don't. No, you don't. No, 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 you don't. Because runes cut, and they cut to like.
Mm. Yeah, my
Mhm.
friend Brianna, she's been on Drunken Divinations a couple of times, and she's not a card person. She's more for runes. So that's what she's currently looking into and studying right now. I'm like, you go, girl, you do it.
Yeah,
But
go for it.
not
Have fun with
not
it.
for me.
Read them, cut them, bleed them, rock with it.
Right. Oh gosh. I like how she said, get him, Aeson. Get him.
Yeah, they all know I'm famous about bit because that's the first thing I do with my students is take your books, put them underneath the chair. You have a lovely textbook. You're not going to need that today. We're going to get in there and get messy.
Yeah. The
Books are great
major
for.
arcana, I think I could do the major arcana without the book comfortably because that's the storyline. You know what I mean? But as far as those pesky numbers, woo,
Can we play?
Can we play? Sure, let's go.
Grab a deck. Whichever one you're comfortable with.
I got it. It's right here.
All right. Shuffle it 3 times.
Do I have room? Let me see. Hopefully it doesn't eat my hand this time, right?
Hopefully you took care of yourself and drank enough water so that it doesn't have to need it.
Right. Oh gosh. Yeah, I was like, why does my hand hurt? And you're tipsy. And I look down, I'm bleeding. I'm like, oh gosh.
Yeah.
That's new. And then I was so tipsy that I actually took a second and I was thinking, now how could that have happened? Oh yeah. It's a paper cut. I was working with cards earlier, so. All right. Lay
me on a standard 3-card spread.
Should I flip them over?
Yeah.
Ooh. I got King of Cups reversed. Do you do reversals?
I do it sometimes. Look at your card and tell me what you see in it.
I see a man with 2 cups on the ocean. I see a fish and a boat in the background.
Okay. What's going on in the picture?
Dude's just looking off. The boat is in a very far distance. The fish is just kind of photobombing.
Yeah.
There's literally a fish photobombing.
Right. So you've walked into a movie, and that's the only thing you see on the screen. What's the story about?
Oh, I see. So this story, I would say, is about a sailor whose boat left him.
Okay. All right. Pull your next card for your next scene.
All right. This one is a King of Wands.
Okay.
And something that sticks out to me are lizards. So there's a lizard there. And there's some lizards there. That's like an Ouroboros type of lizard. And this guy's looking pretty stern. Again, looking off into the distance or away from, out of our perspective. Not really
focusing what's in front of him.
And his little lizard friend is looking in the same direction. Looks like he's in the desert. So he might be a king of the desert.
Okay. Interesting. So comparing the two, what's the group message there? Because you've got your past and your present.
Wet and dry. With this guy being in reverse, so they're looking in the same direction. Which is interesting, which would be backwards.
Okay.
Which is interesting. So maybe focused on something that's already happened.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And your
Yeah.
third card?
The Lovers.
Ah,
The face.
interesting pair there.
Right? The Lovers. So, relationships, possibly Gemini energies, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, what are some of my key terms? Heart choices, sexuality.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
So make your sentence.
Past
Mm-hmm.
relationships.
Mm-hmm. Of
That's all I got.
opposites.
Of opposites. That's a good point. That's a good point.
You know, because your key points there was one's wet, one's dry.
Very true. Very
Both
true.
looking into the past, looking at how things are, you know, but also looking at their influences.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And also lizards and fish.
Yeah. What's a lizard mean for you?
What does a lizard mean for me? So lizards I attribute like reptiles.
Mm-hmm.
I attribute to like old knowledge, I
Okay.
guess I would say.
Okay.
Because they're like dinosaurs.
Mm-hmm. Cool. And fish?
Fish, emotions because of water.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Surprising you don't say societal.
That's a good point.
You know, because fish have to be very social. There's only one brand of fish that likes to be alone.
That's true. Whereas lizards, I guess, are not that way.
No, they're very much like, leave me alone, go away. Oh, it's that time of the year. Cute. Come here, baby. Get the hell out of here.
That's true. That's true. Mm-hmm. I'd rather eat a fish than a lizard.
True. Crocodile is very, very rubbery.
I mean, gator tail is pretty good.
Not the ones I've had, honey. Of course, you know. I've only had it once and it was never again. You're acting up because you're exhausted. You haven't done your journaling exercises. And by the way, you still got like 40 other projects going on, Dottie.
Girl, same.
Good night, Miss Dottie. Oh.
She said I'm acting up.
Yeah. But no, I think overall, looking at your reading style, you're doing two things that I would recommend you not do.
Gotcha.
One is filter.
Hence why the alcohol helps sometimes.
Yes. I promise you, if you just drop the filter, oh, didn't ask for a reading. Honey, you ain't got a reading. You got a to-do list. And a project board. Love you, darling.
Project boards. Ooh, those are serious. I have quite a few of those too.
She thinks in project boards, which is scary as heck. But no, one, don't filter. You want, and the other part was, you know, my grandmother always said, don't care if they sit down at your table and cry or laugh, as long as they get up when they're done and get everything they need, it's always going to be something great.
I like that. That's a good way to put it. I try not to see negative things, but sometimes
you're going to see them. You're going to see them. I tell my students when they first start reading tarot, get ready to see deaths, sickness, disease, divorces, cheating, because any new gift.
Oh my gosh, I'm really bad when people. So I've had so many people ask me about tests.
Tests
like school tests, But for some reason, and I think it's just my Cancerian energy, I'm just like, are we talking about a pregnancy test? And it never is. You'd think I'd learn.
Yeah. No. But no, when they talk about tests, it's normally studies tests, the bar. Very rarely do I get pregnancy tests. My answer to that is I am not a rabbit. Go talk to a rabbit.
Go talk to a rabbit. That's funny.
But no, like filtering. It's one like some of the stuff that comes out of my mouth. I'm like, did I really like describe their car problem? Yeah. What do I know about cars? You put gas and oil in them, and you take them to a greasy guy and make him fix them. That's about as far as I go on cars.
I mean, and that's one reason too why, Drunken Divinations is for fun, but I'm like, I can't, I don't want to be reliant on substances. And I feel like that's a danger, Yeah.
It very much is a danger.
Right.
And we saw a lot of that in the 70s, and a lot of time, and we don't see a lot of practitioners talk about that time of the 70s when, we're seeing a lot of, marijuana, a lot of CBD being brought back into the practices. And it's like, that's cute. You can do that once you learn how to do that without that. Yeah. Don't make that the basis of it. Right. And then we have a lot of practitioners that are saying that they can do some things that have no clue about it. I about jumped through the phone on someone that called me because they were wanting to know what they thought about going on a retreat with peyote. And I'm like, how long has the person been practicing? Have you even looked them up? Well, no, they said they've been doing it for about 5 years and thought it would be a good spiritual opening for me. And I'm like,
oh, it'll be a good spiritual opening, but are you ready?
But are you ready? No, you do not go on that.
You might find your spirit a little too open.
You might find your spirit a little bit all over the place and have to jerk your ass back into your body.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah. So I don't know. Like, where do you see the craft going? I mean, because you've seen the craft from the original craft to the secondary craft. Where do you see it moving forward to?
I hope it doesn't move back into the So part of the craft is always going to be hidden, as it should be, be. But I'm at a point in my life now where some of my high school bullies that would make fun of me for practicing witchcraft are now doing it themselves. And I think that is great. I think it's great that some of us as children, before we had to worry about carrying certain books or wearing certain symbols, and I think that it's great that now that's becoming less of an issue. But I worry that with things becoming too mainstream, that there will be a whitewash effect, and that we'll kind of lose track of what it's supposed to be, and it'll turn into this wiggy-washy Hollywood blown up rigabaloo, and that the real thing will be forced back into the underground, if that makes sense.
Oh, it makes total sense.
That's probably my only concern. The other aspect of that would be that it will just continue to grow and flourish, and that eventually it'll be the norm again.
Right. And I think that both of those paths are interesting to look at. The publicized whitewash version, that's already happened.
Oh yeah,
Like, I'm
and it
sorry.
continues to.
And it continues to. I mean, we see that, but also I question if that's not part of the growth and part of the development. For some things, for it to stay alive, it has to grow and build. Witchcraft and Wicca has always been living religions, so they grow, they build. We no longer kill a goat and make gyro for the covenantal dinner anymore.
I love a good gyro.
Yeah, because that's just frowned upon, and people start saying that we're having fluffy for dinner, and it's like, no, we're having billy goat gruff, but that's no longer nice.
Oh gosh.
Or fried chicken, that's no longer socially acceptable. So there are some growth things there that I'm kind of can get behind.
You could have fried chicken. You just gotta buy it from like KFC or or
please, how do you know those
first.
priestesses didn't cook half that chicken? They ordered it up. Those neophytes couldn't have fried the chicken that good. They could have put it on their grandmother's ceremonial platter, but we all know where that chicken came from. It wasn't the skinny rooster that was served up at ritual. But at the same time of that, so there's some great exceptions that I'm seeing. I'm really liking that we're seeing more high priests coming out, that it's not all feminine. I'm really glad. One of the fads that I'm really glad to see gone or less heard of is, I'm a witch from 600 generations. We have been witches.
I still see that.
I see it rarer. It's more older practitioners that still do that.
And
but
my
it's like,
thing
give me a break.
My thing is, no matter who you are, if you trace your lineage back far enough, there's going to be a practitioner of magic somewhere.
Exactly.
Whether they call it magic or not, they're there.
Right. But when they go, I'm a 7th degree Wiccan priestess, I'm like, damn, y'all guys breeding fast, aren't you? 1952? That's a little fast.
I mean, the 70s, you got to count in that burst. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. But, so I'm glad that's gone. I'm glad that that fear of, but the other side of that is I want gone. I want it to be commonplace for like someone to walk up to me and go, so, I've lost my job. The dog and cat moved out, and my wife is planning a divorce. And so I kind of ran my mouth off at Lady Susanna over in Beckley, and I think I pissed her off good enough to curse me. How do I fix that? Like, I want to get to that point of dealing with my bullies. Or so at 3 o'clock in the morning every morning we get woke up.
You haven't had the shrunken penis accusation yet? Am I really the only one?
No, not yet.
Yeah, that happened.
Oh, it happened?
That happened. Somebody thought I shrunk their penis.
Don't you know it's just easier to kill the blood flow?
And I was just like, I couldn't do anything but walk away. It was just
So, I would like that to be more, because there is a lot of, still within Appalachia and everything else says, oh, they practice witchcraft. You don't want to go and ask them that. Like, come to people that live it, practice it, before you go Googling.
Right.
Okay, because there's some crap on Google.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I would like to see that more commonplace. I think that as practitioners, we really should be studying our herbs and remembering spells that we thought we could put away in the 80s.
Yes. But also, I want to see spells that are more and this is something else. This is another project that's on my it's on the list. But spells that are more for today's technology.
Right.
Like,
Cybercraft would be nice.
yes.
Yes.
Where is that book? I'm not writing
Um,
it, but that's y'all can have that idea. I ain't writing it, but
Yeah,
I'd read
Cybercraft has
it.
been out there. I'll just warn you, it's hell on keyboards. You will melt keyboards.
Oh gosh.
Especially Microsoft keyboards. I promise you, like my husband moved me to wireless so it stopped blowing up the computers.
It gets as far as the Bluetooth. That's it.
Exactly. We keep a supply of them. And now he's moved me over to Mac because I've done blew up every. I love my little husband, which he's fine, everyone. He's just asleep. He'll be back on Friday. I haven't fed him a salad yet, as my students accused me of. He is very anti-Apple. As you know,
Really?
I want a Mac computer. He is all for it because I've done blew up every computer that he's bought me, built me. You can't destroy this. You can't destroy this. And I'm like, that's quartz-based infrastructure. Yes, I can.
Hold my beer.
Yeah, hold my beer. Give me a Mercury in retrograde with at least a little Gemini influence. We're done.
I love my Mac. I just have a MacBook and I love it. So when you opened that, I was like, no, he did not. And I was like, oh, I'm so jelly.
Yeah.
You're gonna love it. You're gonna love it.
I'm hoping to. I really like what I've played with so far. I'm still trying to move into it. For me, it takes a lot to move into a system because I've got like 9 emails and 5 terabytes of data and all this other crap to go into it. Because I'm one of the ones, I moved from the Grimoire to the data roar. And I love having my stuff on the computer. And I can not flip 500 pages to find that spell I'd done in 1992 that works to make this do. I can just boom, every money spell I ever wrote. I love that factor. But other trends I'd like to see go back away. And I told you pre-show we were going to talk about this. I'd like to not see another damn witch hunt or another damn pastor trying to blackmail his congregation for more money or before a lawsuit is filed.
I saw, this weekend we're gonna have Marcus Keys, and he participates on Witch Talk, but his content it's hilarious. It's not too serious. He's really funny. And he did a TikTok, I think it was today actually, where he said witches in his congregation were like, what? Is he talking about us? And I'm like, that would be me. That would be me. Yeah, that's just crazy. I didn't watch the whole video. I did not, because at that point it was just getting into hysterical laughter, and I had to put it down, because yeah, it's almost as funny as have you seen the one, I'm pretty sure it doesn't even take place in Mexico, but there's a video going around where it says in Mexico they think owls are witches, and there was an owl in the rafters of the church and they were singing as loud and as fast as they could, but it was a barn owl, and they're receptive to sound. So all it was doing was like bobbing its head to the music.
I have not seen that.
It's great. I highly recommend it. It's really fun to watch.
Cool.
But yeah, and the barn owl is animal spirit that I work with on the regular, so it gave me a good chuckle. Right. But yeah, so this pastor.
Yeah, let's address the problems with this Pastor Gravelock.
Wow.
First of all, don't be picking on women. You want to pick on somebody, come pick on this old bastard. I'll be glad to trade words with you, because, Palms, biggest spell book ever published.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. And some of those spells are damn nasty.
Yes.
I was covering one with my students, and, I didn't. Yes, I know a good bit of the Bible, but at the same time, and yes, I can quote scriptures left, right, and center. But at the same time, I don't photo memorize it. So I go looking up Palm. It's Palms 123. That damn spell's awful.
Yeah, I don't have them memorized, but yeah. My thing is too is, I tell people all the time, if you're gonna get mad, if you're gonna force this book down our throats, don't get mad at us when we use it the way we want to use it.
Well, here's the
So
problem: is it is how it's meant to be used. Is how we
right,
use it.
pretty much. Have
That's the
you
scary part. You know.
Jake Richards wrote a book recently. Hold on, my cat opened the door. Yeah, you're sassy. We see you. Jake Richards wrote a really good book, Backwoods Witchcraft, that uses a lot of Bible verses and Psalms in it. But also, I think it's been a minute since I've read it, but I think it's called A Friend or A True Friend. And it's mostly like Dutch Appalachian.
Long Lost Friend?
Long Lost Friend, that's what it is.
Yes, it's
like
on Sacred Text.
Yeah,
that
so
is Pennsylvania Dutch magic. And
it's
I
been
have
a hot
another
minute since I've read that one, but yes,
Yes.
it's full of them too.
It's full of them too. And I'm sorry, some of the old magic that you learn and you find go straight for the Bible. Especially like when you're trying, and this is one of my favorite ones, is Acts. The book of Acts is a total spell book. It's a total book of, here I am, this is what I'm going to do, and I have the authority here, thank you very much, because it gives me these rights. But looking at him, he's just looking to trigger donations. He's just trying to create separatism in his church. He's trying to get everybody to follow him. And what's scary to me is the reactions of his audience.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
That can be very dangerous.
But, his church isn't the only one doing that stuff. There's churches in Southern Ohio just within the past 2 years that were doing movements onto Serpent Mound in Ohio to pray the evil away, pray the witchcraft away on Serpent Mound during winter solstice. And it's like, okay, you have a right to practice your practice, but why choose the solstice in which you know that there's going to be, because you want to ruffle tail, like you're trying to start an issue, you're trying to cause a problem.
You're trying to get donations. I mean, I'll call it point blank. A lot of these stunts are trying to get donations, trying to get support for their cause. And I'll be bitchy. There are some beautiful churches in West Virginia that would make lovely houses because I'd say in 10 years they're going to be on the real estate market.
I'd love to live in a church.
Oh, I think it'd be amazing to take the church and change it into a full functioning house.
Yes.
Because God's real estate is getting really expensive. And his donation plates are getting really bare.
Yes.
And his preachers are having to pull up sermons from the 1600s to try to get money to keep up their $1 million lifestyles while their first wife is living in a woman's shelter with their 4 children.
It's just crazy. The
You
root of evil.
Yeah.
You want to talk about evil?
Yeah. Let's just debate who's the really evil one here.
Right. It don't take a rocket scientist. It really don't.
Well, and it doesn't take the rocket scientist to see some of the other stuff going on. So what other trends do you think are going on? Or what other trends do you want to see go
on? So as far as just in our community?
All communities. What trends do you see happening?
I think I'll speak on trends that, I want to see happen. I want to see us all, I'm a hippie at heart. Like
Mhm.
I play hard, you know, I play hard, and yes, my matron is a war goddess, but I
Mhm.
am not for it, you know.
Mhm.
Like I would like to see us all come to common grounds and be able to make what should be simple decisions based off of human life,
Mhm.
you know. Am I gonna get
Yeah.
that wish? I don't know. We'll find out, but
Well, I'd like to see a Council of Nicaea from the witches. Like,
mm,
let's get a voice out there because we're able to move mountains when we put a voice behind it.
hmm
1974, that was a very loud voice from the community.
mm,
Honoring our soldiers, another very loud voice through our community.
yes.
Yeah.
I hope you're comfortable. Cat on the bed. You know you're not supposed to be up there.
Uh huh.
Anyway, but yeah.
They still remember being goddesses and gods.
Yeah, that's what it is. Mm-hmm. Well,
Yeah.
she can be a goddess on the couch.
Uh huh.
um, but yeah, I agree. You know, I think that a council of our voices would be great, but then you have to get into, you know, whose voices. Because again,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Right.
everybody's I'm holier than thou. My path is the right path. And it's like, really? Of all faiths and
Uh
of
huh.
all paths, nobody on these paths should be saint, because you'd think they'd realize they're they're just taking the things that were shoved down their throats and just regurgitating it.
Reverbalizing.
Yeah.
And see, that's the thing. I don't think. I don't think any path is the only path.
Oh, I agree completely.
Okay.
Definitely not.
I don't think that every path is the right path, but it's the right path for the person walking it.
Hmm.
And I think that that's something gets so discoded in media today.
Yes.
There are practitioners out there that I'll look at them and go, I can't do it. You go for that vegetarian diet and you go for that drinking green juice 3 times a day and breathing air for your minerals, and if that works for you. And I think that's the hardest thing as a facilitator to get through students
Hmm.
is your path is your path. You develop on your own. You're a
Yes.
seed, you can literally take, and we see this reflected in our own nature. Um, you can take 3 oak trees, plant their seeds in the same soil with the same rooting structure, the same pH balance, the same sunlight, the same water, and they'll all 3 grow differently,
Yes.
as they should. And I
Hmm.
think that's a message that has been lost within the Wiccan community.
Mm. I would agree on that
Yeah,
wholeheartedly.
yeah. It's like, and what I find interesting is when we look at the founders, and what I consider founders are the people that really done a lot of the amazing foundational public workings.
Hmm.
Lori Cabot, which we've lost a lot of our founders. They're not there to speak for us.
Right. Hmm.
We've got Lori Cabot.
Raymond recently died within the last, what, 5 years?
Yeah,
I can't
Raymond's
remember.
gone.
Hmm.
We've got Lady Maxine, who
Hmm.
works with the Old Ones Covenant. She's publicly said in multiple lectures, the Wicca today is not the Wicca I grew up in.
Right.
It is not the Wicca I practiced, but it is the Wicca needed now.
Mm.
And I think that's a very what?
Hmm. It's a very eye-opening.
Yeah,
Hmm.
very eye-opening experience to hear that. But when we look at, who's replacing them, who's talking, who's got the mega box now? There's not a lot out there,
Mm.
and I think it
Well,
shows.
I think it's not so much. I would say that it's not that there's not a lot out there. I would say that there's just so many voices now
Mm-hmm.
that it becomes harder to um, figure out who's doing more.
Mm-hmm.
in like really doing more,
Right.
you know,
Right.
because
But
you've got people out there screaming at the top of their lungs on YouTube and posting 6 different, you know, Wicca 101 or how to be a witch videos over and over and over. But are they
Mhm.
necessarily coming up with anything new? No.
Right.
You know?
No. Or coming up with foundation. And that's
Mm-hmm.
something I think is highly important, is foundation of like, here's how I do it. You may, you may have one blade, you may have 2 blades, you may have a blade for this and a blade for that. But making that quick judgment of, oh, you must be my clone, terrible.
Mm.
Terrible behavior. We see what it has done with the majority of religions. Let's not copy it.
Right.
But no, I would love to see a real Council of Nicaea, which is sitting down and going, okay, what is book? Meaning these are foundational pieces.
Mm.
What is personal practice? What is, well, this picked up in 92. This started in 2000.
Well, this picked up in 92. I like that.
This, the word karma was entered in 1973 when we had this large influence from Llewellyn buying Indian media because it was cheaper. So it became a flavor within the community. And seeing those strands.
Hmm.
What's your view on karma? Since it's a nice buzzword right now.
So karma is, to me, I don't necessarily believe in so for me, karma is less of an outside force and more of like an internal decision, if that makes sense. So I am very much a believer in willpower,
Mm-hmm.
and I guess I have to be careful. So somebody mentioned to me that they believe so much in willpower that if you were to try and cast on someone else and it was against their will, then it would not work. But I disagree with that.
Okay.
But I also think that our decisions in life and the afterlife make up
Mm-hmm.
a lot of, I mean, it's cause and effect. I think
Right.
that is a natural law that
Mm-hmm.
is apparent in life
Mm-hmm.
and will be apparent after death. So I would say that karma is what we make it.
Mm-hmm.
Do I believe in like an afterlife karmic justice like hell for those of us who put enough energy into that? Yes, I believe that will happen. For those of us who will believe that what we send out will come back to us at some certain point within however many numbers of however many times you want it to come back, if
Right.
you put enough energy into that, yes, I believe that will happen.
See, I think those are 2 different principles.
Well, yeah, definitely. But I think that whatever you put your energy into is what's going to, and you have a choice. I believe
Right.
you have a choice of what you put, what
Right.
what thing you feed, if
Right.
that makes sense.
For me, in my view of karma is what you create it as. If you've got that little in seed of guilt, that little in seed of, oh, I done them something bad. So you're already telling the universe, I need a whipping. I need a whipping.
Yes,
Universe
exactly.
gonna hand you a whipping.
Exactly.
Or oh God, if there is and I tell people this in magic, if there's a hint of doubt, don't do it.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's already that shadow there.
Yep.
But as far as deity or the universe walking around handing out karma cookies, there isn't
karma
one.
points, we used to say in high school, karma points.
Yes.
That's my good karma for the day. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's kind of like the Morrigan. In my theory, everyone listens to the version of the Morrigan that is the war goddess. Yeah, that's one of her facets.
Oh yeah, definitely. And there's more, but there's a lot
Yeah.
more.
Yeah,
But
she's much more over sovereignty and
Mhm.
who has rights over things.
Mm-hmm.
And she's the enchantress.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she is also the queen of the fae, and I'm like, you got to get to know Mama before Mama will show you all her facets.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. But yeah, I would agree. I think you explained it better. It's like if you put out that energy that you deserve to be punished, then you'll be punished. The universe is going to say, "Here you go. This is what you asked for."
Right. And that's like there isn't one of those, like, also you set your own morals in Wicca. There are people that won't touch a love spell worth nothing. I won't touch one for pay. I won't. Sorry, not my job. There are other people like $5,000, please, and I will deliver him on a silver plate. You've got good faith in yourself, and I'm not writing you that check. That's cute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, what do you think of your industry right now?
My industry?
Where do you see like YouTube, TikTok changing, building? What about the meta?
Oh, meta. You like shudder.
Uh-huh.
I wish I could predict it, but I don't think I'm waiting and secretly hoping for TikTok to die. I am.
Well, it's the hot child right now. We've seen this. It's one of those. If you study history long enough, it's like, oh, we've seen TikTok. TikTok was cute as Musical.ly. TikTok was cute as Snapchat. TikTok was cute as this. It's like Facebook. It's MySpace. It's getting a little silver. Of course, he's going to try to kill it. Personally, in 10 years, I think we'll be doing live streams in hologram. I think I'll be able to do a live stream hologram. I'm looking forward to it. I said 10 years ago in an interview, one of these days I'll just be able to be a hologram and I can just port into your world. That'll be easier when I'm like, yeah, he's a douchebag. Look at him. He even left his dirty socks there.
I mean,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I could see that. I don't know. I think that video will take quite a long time to die out.
Mm-hmm.
I hope that YouTube remains a thing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm surprised that YouTube has lived as long as it has, but I'm also glad that it has lived as long as it has.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't really see. I don't know. It's hard for me to think. I don't normally think about what would I do otherwise because, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah. It's like people always ask me, what's your backup plan when this fails?
I don't know.
Hasn't
Figure it out
yet.
when it does.
Yeah.
My
Can I retire?
I'm very much a can I retire? That's a good one. My thing is I'm not a planner. I'm really not. I'm a water sun sign. I am very watery. I go with the flow. I adapt, So if something were to happen, if I felt it was important enough for me to keep something going, I would find a way to do it, I guess.
Very cool.
But I don't see YouTube at least going anywhere for quite some time, especially since they've teamed up. Yeah, since they've become so close with Google and I don't see it going anywhere. And plus, you have to think of a lot of people don't realize the editing that goes into videos sometimes. Could you imagine if it was a hologram?
Oh, I'll have fun with that because then I don't have to edit.
Well, that's true. I mean,
yeah. Okay, guys. I'm sorry. I've got to wrap this up.
All good.
So how do they find you? How do they find Drunken Divinations and how do they find your store?
So the easiest way to find me is to just do a search on YouTube for BlueNightt, blue like the color, night like nighttime, but with an extra T. You should be able to find me pretty easily on YouTube. All of my links are on the YouTubes. You could go to cunningowlcreations.com. That's the shop, and you'll find all the merch stuff there. And of course, Drunken Divinations is on the YouTube channel under BlueNightt. So pretty easy. Pretty easy.
Cool. All right, guys. Thank you guys for joining us tonight. I know it's been a busy night. It was a great show. I love having you on. I can't wait to get on Drunken Divinations.
Can't wait to have you. It's going to be so much fun.
It'll be fun. It'll be really good. Be looking for the announcements, because I'll do full announcements when all that's set up, on how you can link into that. Of course, there'll be links at aesonknight.com. Of course, PCS Network will be linking out that day too. But I do want to take time to thank our baristas for their support. Beverly Walker, Mika G, Kathy, Mary Winfield, Brenda Bryant, Ashley Guess, Shannon C, Shannon D, and the ever-loving Lady Gwendolyn, Charles Shaw, and Dottie the Psychic. If you'd like to learn more about being a barista and how you can support my work and the show, please visit PCSPnetwork.com. All right, guys, you have a great night. Bye, y'all. We have a new outro. Where's the new outro? Oh.
Let's work. Yo, it's go time, showtime, never backing down time. One shot, yo, make it count, yo. Crunch time, shine time, make this moment my time. Get a grip, yo, ready, set, go. We bring the thunder. Bring the thunder. Let's work. Bring the thunder. Let's go. Bring the thunder. Let's work. Bring the thunder. Let's work. Yeah, it's my time, yo time. Step into the spotlight. Get lit, yo. Let yourself go. Our time, high time. Gotta go big time. This is it, yo. Never take no flight time. Grind time. Take it to the street time. Turn the roof off. Get loco. Game time, win time. We gon' bring it home time. No regrets now. Let it all go. We bring the thunder. Bring the thunder.